This is Main Street, Steinbach. There's the famous clock tower, statue that honors the Mennonite history here, and this is the Main Street, which is pretty typical for a city of about 18,000. There are all sorts of shops, flowers and furnitures down there, car dealerships down there. This is known as the Automobile City. Brew pub, couple of cafes and delis along this way. So a lot of activity downtown, and right across the street is Earl's Meat Market. Now, it's been in business for 21 years now, and I think we'll pop in and pay a visit. I don't think I'll call him Earl, though, because he has a more formal title. Mayor Funk. Hello, how are you?
Doing?
Hard at work?
Yes, good to see you.
Good to see you, too. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
And so am I. I think we're going to have a fantastic time.
I think we are. Steinbach's butcher is Steinbach's mayor, and he knows this city is having a grade A moment. My conversation with the mayor coming up on CBC Morning Live. We're in one of the fastest growing cities in the province of Manitoba. Steinbach is a city with a clear strategy for growth, even in these uncertain economic times. And there's no greater champion of its potential than the man who's been mayor here since 2018. Mayor Earl Funk, welcome to our program. I'm glad to see you again in your other capacity.
Well, it's great to see you as well, and welcome to our community.
Well, I have to tell you, I want you to know this. I'm going to quote this directly. We arrived in Winnipeg, and an employee at the airport said, "Where are you going?" We said, "Steinbach." And this is what he said: "You'll fit right in if you're Mennonite, and if you're not, they'll treat you well." And he's 100% correct. We've had a very warm welcome, and we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And I think we're a welcoming city, but you know, we want to treat people the way we want to be treated ourselves. And that's really how our foundation and what we live by.
Let's talk about an example of that is where we are, the Southeast Event Center. We are in a place that is the biggest infrastructure project in your city's history. Mm-hmm. Huge money. What statement are you making by building this now?
Well, you know, it's a huge statement we're making, but we're making one of partnership, right? The city put in $32 million. The private donation group, like the group that donated, these are businessmen in our community, $25.5 million. Plus they took care of the kitchen, the Pistons room, and a few other amenities that we have in here. And then the province and the feds kicked in about $18.5 million together. And so, but that shows the partnership from all levels of government and our private sector. And I think if we can do it, I think other communities can do it as well.
And a view to the future, despite what we know are economic challenges, and you with your business on the Main Street, you're feeling this and seeing this in a couple of different ways. With the tariffs, with the trade situation, where are you seeing it? Where are you feeling the impact to the greatest extent here in Steinbach?
Well, I don't think we're feeling a lot of impact because we're fairly insulated. We are meeting as council. We're meeting with the bigger businesses in our community and finding out what we can do. Tariffs are always looming. They're thinking about it, but we're trying to set ourselves up in a situation or in a position that it won't affect us as badly. And so one of the things that council always wants to do is provide the environment for businesses to grow. And if we can do that through taxation, through roads, through providing land for building, I think that is what puts us in a positive place.
When it comes to growth, we've talked this morning a number of times about how your population is really booming. You have a targeted approach, you're very strategic in your approach, and you're looking not just beyond Steinbach, beyond Manitoba, indeed beyond Canada, to fuel that growth. What is your approach and philosophy?
Well, again, just like I say, we try to build an environment where people want to be. Right? You make a friendly environment, you make a productive environment, a progressive environment, and you have land available, serviced, roads, and people will come. They will bring their business, right? And we make sure that when we hear of a business looking for a place, we reach out to them and we say, we want you. Come see what we have for you. Because there is more for you in Steinbach.
Those businesses need workers, though. And when we met in the butcher shop, you said, we need jobs in every sector. That's what you told me there. Yeah. Steinbach is one of 14 cities in Canada, part of this new government federal program, the Rural Community Immigration Pilot. Right. to attract foreign workers, skilled workers in key sectors, to certain rural communities. How did you get involved in that? And I'm wondering how it's early, how it's going so far.
Well, I think it's going quite well. The preliminary, what we're hearing is we're deciding what those sectors are, and businesses are coming forward and they're putting their applications in, their plans together. And I do believe it's going to be a huge success for our community because it's going to match the employer with the right person, and I think it's going to fast track people that are looking for permanent residency, and I think that's going to be a good thing for our community. We're not creating enough population on our own, so we do need immigration. We need new people to come in and take those jobs that are open.
With that population growth, though, comes strains on all sorts of aspects of your city. Infrastructure, we've been talking with Chris about housing and schools, the new school, the ribbon cuttings today. Are you attending that?
Yes,
You're probably
I am.
Of course you are.
Today at 11, we'll be cutting the ribbon for that.
But it's interesting because the school already had to open. The demand was such that it had to open even before the official ribbon cutting.
Yes.
Such is that kind of pressure. When it comes to healthcare, you have a really innovative plan in mind to keep doctors or to attract doctors here and keep them here. What are you proposing?
Yes, we've been working this for a couple of years now, but we've been going to Southern Health and to our province, and we met with the Deputy Minister of Health now, and we proposed to use Manitoba students. Open our universities to Manitoba students.
Keep spaces aside for them.
Exactly. Have a rural stream, right? So that students that come from areas, whether they come from Thompson or Brandon or Steinbach, it doesn't matter where they come from, but they will most likely come back to that area and practice, but also go one step further, and when we're vetting them, make sure that we're vetting students that want to practice family medicine. Because if that's our need, if we need family doctors and we need them rurally, that needs to be our focus. Like it's not reinventing anything, it's just common sense. Right, and so we've been meeting with the university. We've been meeting with the province. We're working with Brandon.
Brandon,
yes,
second largest city.
Exactly, and Brandon Mayer is he's amazing. Jeff Fawcett, and he wants his university become a rural stream, right?
Interesting.
So that because they're already rural, right? The students are already learning in a rural setting. And so from there, it's very easy to go back to their rural community.
To encourage them to stay. So you're really one of the people spearheading this kind of project. Are you finding the province receptive to the idea?
Yes, we did. Our last meeting with the Deputy Minister, we found them very receptive. Southern Health is very receptive. Now that's a long-term solution. So in the short-term solution, the best thing is international grads. And we'll take them in. But we all know that eventually something will trigger an international grad to go back home, whether it's, mom and dad need help or whatever. But we know that something's going to trigger them to go back. So that's when so long term, we need Manitoba students to go back to their communities.
Let's look long term for a moment. I mentioned in your butcher shop, Steinbach seems to be having a grade A moment.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for you?
The future is incredibly bright for Steinbach. We've always been able to weather the storm well. We just did some population numbers. We're over 20,000 in population right now, but we're looking for in around 2034, 2035, we should be plus upwards of 34,000 people at the present growth, right? So
that's closing in on Brandon.
Yeah, that is. We're hoping one day that we can be the second largest,
Just listening to the things that we've covered and talked about in terms of how your city's responding to some of these challenges. There's a municipal councillor in Norfolk County, which is in southwestern Ontario. His name is Mike Columbus. He says, I'm really impressed with the community development progress of modern day Steinbach. That's another municipal politician listening to what you're doing here just this morning and saying they're onto something here in Steinbach. What do you think?
Well, thank you for the compliment, and we do work hard. That's all we do. We get up in the morning and we go do what we can do for that day, and we work together as a community. And I think we're welcoming, we're caring, we're generous, and I think that is part of our success.
What a pleasure to have you with me today, to have met you yesterday. I have to let you go. You have a busy day, including a ribbon cutting at 11 o'clock at this new school. Big day of celebration.
You know, it's always exciting here in Steinbach.
Mayor Funk, thank you very much. And you're watching CBC Morning Live, special coverage from Steinbach, Manitoba. Farms and businesses here in Steinbach, Manitoba will welcome new markets. The city is a hub economically. Canola and hog farming are big. So is manufacturing, as well as the businesses and the services that support all of those sectors. One of our CBC News team has made the trip with us to Steinbach, not too far, I guess, just 50, 60 kilometers from Winnipeg. That's where Cameron McIntosh is normally, but it's great to have you here with us, Cam.
I'm 30 minutes from my house.
I know, exactly. When you put, I could be in Toronto and be 30 minutes from my house and still be in Toronto, so.
Well, that's the selling point here, right? The commute. A lot of people go back between Winnipeg and Steinbach, so, that it's all part of the.
We did a Waze search from our hotel to here. It's 3 minutes. It's pretty sweet. Anyway, that's not what you're here to talk about. Cam is here this morning. Cam has been looking at the trade war, the tariff situation, and how it's been really affecting the local and the regional economy.
Right. So we're about half an hour southeast of Winnipeg. We're a little more than half an hour north of the U.S. border. So there are direct connections from Steinbach into Minnesota, North Dakota. A lot of the growth here has thrived off of that north-south trade, but in this era of tariffs, counter tariffs, pending renegotiation of North American trade, throw in the odd annexation threat from Washington, and you get a lot of uncertainty and now a push to diversify.
Made in Canada, there's nothing stock about these windows.
Everything we make is configured to order.
Most bound for the U.S.
Depending on how busy we are, it'll be about 200 or 300 units a day will be produced.
And most of it like this by hand.
Neil Fast is president and CEO of Lowen Windows and Doors. Currently protected from U.S. tariffs, still the business and the 700 jobs that go with it are in flux.
We are looking to really simplify our supply chain, make it a lot more resilient.
Changing tariffs and counter tariffs on items like aluminum and lumber have made his input costs less predictable. Fast is trying to hedge by getting more Canadian projects in the order book.
We're having our best year in Canada in a long time.
That doesn't fully replace the U.S., where orders next year are less than certain. Lowen is a big employer in Steinbach. Since 2011, the population has grown more than 30%. Manufacturing and agriculture driving a lot of that growth.
These 3 are full. The last 2 are still waiting.
Margaret Empel runs a mixed farm with her son. Midway through harvest, she's watching the weather, markets, and the whims of the White House. Their hog business is entirely Canadian, but uncertainty over U.S. trade threatens prices overall.
It's a huge factor because it makes it difficult to plan for next month, let alone next year, or for the next generation.
Across the region, a push to adapt and diversify as community leaders look to attract other businesses.
We are pro-business and we are set up in a way that is great specifically for young families.
With national and cross-border economic and political forces beyond anyone's control, it forces businesses to be nimble.
The culture and the workforce that has been built up here is incredible.
We are by nature tenaciously optimistic, I sometimes say.
What an interesting conversation and report. And as we look at that, obviously we've talked about how the population has boomed in Steinbach. It's about a third in the last 10-year period, doubled in the past 20 years. And businesses are really driving a lot of that, aren't they, Cam?
So if you're running a factory or you're a farmer like Marge, who we just met, you want to grow. You need to grow. And Steinbach has really pursued that aggressively through immigration, bringing people in from places like Philippines, Mexico, India, Ukraine, and Germany, where, of course, there are long-standing cultural ties. So one of the ways the community is doing this right now is it's participating in a federal program, the Rural Community Immigration Pilot. Basically, what that does is it brings in skilled workers in exchange for permanent residency status, which for many people is a pathway to citizenship. So these are people that are coming here to stay. Lowen is one of the companies that's involved in that. It says it's really helping them to build a stable and skilled workforce.
Interesting. The mayor is joining us later this hour, and it'll be interesting to hear from him. It's a new program. Steinbach's one of 14 cities, and it's just getting going, but it could have a significant impact because all the forecasting and the data says that newcomers are going to be key to the economy in the future.
That's right. And what's happening here in Steinbach is also happening across the country. If you peel away the immigration out of those growth numbers, you get a really interesting picture here. The growth since 2011 is only about 3%, only about 1.9% skilled working age people. So, the workforce just isn't growing fast enough, while seniors have grown about 7%. So you can see where the gap is there. And like I say, this is happening across the country as a lot of younger Canadians opt to move into larger urban centers. That's been happening for decades. A lot of those younger Canadians are also not showing interest in sectors like manufacturing. So this isn't just about filling the factory floor. This is about keeping the school going here and keeping the community going as well. So immigration becomes a lifeline.
That's so interesting. There's a new school cutting the ribbon today because of the expanding population and growth. One of the things that we'll be talking about. But Cam, so good to have you here with us as we cover Steinbach, and we'll carry on that conversation next hour. Lots of growing challenges, of course, here in Steinbach, similar to what Cam was just talking about. And again, I mentioned the mayor. You're going to meet the mayor of Steinbach. You can meet him, in fact, by walking into his shop. You saw that last hour. Mayor Earl Funk, he owns Earl's Meat Market right on the main street. But he's going to be here with us later in the hour, about 20 minutes from now, 7:35 Eastern, 6:35 local time here, Central. Immigration, as Cam just outlined, is a big
Russia
part. Invaded Ukraine more than 3.5 years ago, hundreds of Ukrainians fled to safety in Steinbach. The community's origins are Ukrainian. Its sister city is Zaporizhia. So people here opened their doors, as did this church. This is the sanctuary of the Steinbach Mennonite Brethren Church, and it's become a very important community gathering place for displaced Ukrainians like Sviatoslav Baluyev. Slava, thank you for meeting me here. And Chris Gertson is the former mayor of Steinbach, and he's been very involved in welcoming and integrating that community here. So thank you two for coming. I'm really looking forward to speaking with you. And Slava, people call you here Slava. I'm going to do the same.
Thank you.
You're from Lviv originally.
Yeah, from city Lviv.
How did you come to Steinbach?
It was a tough situation because this war just came rapidly, and after 1 year we decided with my family we're supposed to find a safety place, because one day like a Russian missile reached out very close from my home. I understand we're supposed to find like solution, and there's a reason I know here in Canada it's one of the biggest Ukrainian community, especially in Manitoba region. We are right here in November 2022, and try to find like some cozy and nice space for living with my family, because I have 3 children, and Steinbach is nice and one of the like third biggest city here in Manitoba. It is the reason we decided to stay here.
To come here.
To
get your safety, your family to safety, and your 3 children from the war. And Chris, you co-chaired a task force to bring people in exactly that situation here to Steinbach. Tell me, why was it important for you to do that kind of work?
Well, when Russia's war started in Ukraine, we started to see people come into our city from Ukraine, and we would see them whether they were at a restaurant or meet them on the street, and they were a bit lost and they needed help and some guidance. And so we decided to start a group that would come and alongside them and try and help them establish a new life here in our city. And we did that for a number of months as we saw more and more families come to make Steinbach their permanent home, maybe, or temporary.
When we arrived here, we get a lot of support from a lot of community members. A lot of Ukrainians arrive here, and we feel here like at home.
So what kind of support did they offer you?
Support is at least who settled down here, they need some shelters, they need some like just this information, not just only information, some like clothes, like some items from home. And I know like from many people around here just help with financial, help with different way. And we feel the support a lot, especially from community members, especially from the city, from task force, from immigrant services. A lot help us.
How did that make you feel?
It felt great because for us it was not so easy, because we were afraid how everything will be working here, because everything is new, especially like many arrive from this belongings clothes for this, with our war start. It was for them it's mostly a disaster, but when they came here they felt here a peace, and they felt here it's great place for staying.
Now, this is a very particular situation because it was for displaced Ukrainians in the war, but Steinbach has that reputation broadly too for being very welcoming. Is that true? As you experienced it as mayor, is that apt description of this community?
Yes, and there's a good reason for it. Not only that it's the right thing to do, but there's a history. When you look at the many Steinbach residents who live here now, most of them have come from either immigrant families or refugee families. And so whether it's my grandparents who came as refugees, whether it's others who we sponsored through a refugee program, through various community organizations or churches, there's a long history of welcoming newcomers and bringing them alongside to help continue to build this community.
So for you then, now 3 years since you arrived here, I guess one question is, have you been able to find work?
Yes, it was a lot of support, and whenever I arrived here with my family, I found work very quickly. During this helping people around, I started from some simple job.
So you are also helping people?
Yes, right now I help people. My role is I'm Eastern Regional Immigration Partnership Coordinator, and together with Eastern Immigrant Service and Chamber of Commerce, we help newcomers settle down and try to make their life easier for integration.
And is that because of the help that you received here? You too, as Chris was saying,
yes.
You would like to help others? And
yes, totally true, because I saw as a newcomer, I understand the thought needs, like people who arrive here, and for them it's not easy. It's not easy for integration, and whenever they can feel a kind of support, yes, it will be easier for them to stay here and build on your life. This is the reason I'm in this position right now and try to share my knowledge for helping them.
Is this home now, or are you still thinking of going back to Lviv?
Yeah, it's not easy to answer, but now I feel here at home, because a lot of Ukrainians here. We have one of the strongest community Ukraine here in Manitoba. Right now we have like a lot of Ukraine here in Steinbach with different belongings. I know here is like many churches, like some are belonging for the churches, some are going for the Winnipeg because some are Catholic, Orthodox, but for us it's important to be together, because our culture, our language, this is our roots. We're supposed to remember who we are.
And this church has given you that opportunity, hasn't it? It's a real community gathering point.
We are very happy because Pastor Walter allowed us use this place for our meeting, and we had every Saturday meeting like Ukrainian community. We start this conversation and build our community, like Ukrainian community here. We established an Ukrainian Association of Southeast of Manitoba, and we would like to say thank you for support we received here.
So it feels like home.
Yes.
You have this sense of community.
That's
for you,
true.
Chris, who helped provide that for so many, this sense of safety and security, and maybe a permanent home, that must be very satisfying.
Well, it's what we do as a community. We have organizations that care, like this church. We have individuals who care, and we were able to create a conduit for them to provide that care to newcomers. And it happened to be people from Ukraine at this time. It may be others in the future, but it's in our nature. It's what we do as a community.
What a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you, Chris and Slava.
Thank you
for meeting me here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The history of Steinbach is deeply tied to Mennonite immigrants. In fact, as we were telling you today, the city was founded by 18 Mennonite families who had fled religious persecution in Europe. And my next guest is a direct descendant from those original families. He's a teacher, an author, the creative force behind the Unger Review, formerly the Daily Bonnet, which is, as the slogan says, your trusted source for Mennonite satire. Andrew Unger, welcome to our program.
Thanks for having me on.
Listen, I'm going to bring up for our viewers the latest page. Here's the Unger Review, the current posting. And we'll have to explain it. We'll just do this a little bit because it talks about Jonathan Toews coming back to play with the Winnipeg Jets, except that's Vic Toews.
Yeah. I had to Photoshop Vic's head onto a Jets jersey.
We haven't seen him for a while. He's a former federal cabinet minister, Mennonite background.
Right.
And in the entry, you also reference Miriam Toews, going to get called up from the miners.
Right.
So you got a lot of Toews, Mennonite name, and a lot of that in today's entry, in the latest entry.
And most people mispronounce it too. They say toes.
Oh, I got it okay.
No, you got it.
I got it all right. But I have to admit, because I'm not sure I would have connected Mennonites with humor, and particularly with satire. Am I wrong in that? You can set me straight.
No, I definitely think we have this impression that Mennonites are very stoic and don't laugh and stuff like that, and that element does exist, but there's been a long history of Mennonite humor as well, so both of those elements exist.
So who is that for? Is it for the Mennonite community, or is it from people who are not Mennonite, who are wanting to learn a little bit about, or who are writing for them?
I think the majority of my audience probably has a Mennonite background, but definitely the jokes, transcend that,
It's well worth. So the Unger Review, and you can find everything, articles and articles dating back. It's a lot of fun. You referenced in that most recent post Miriam Toews. You have a connection with her that goes back far, far into decades ago. We have a wonderful photo that Andrew shared with us from 1982. We're going to show that. Explain what that one is.
Yeah,
Andrew.
so this is a church directory photo where they took pictures of all the people from the particular church. And there's Miriam Toews on the top left there, and my family is right below her.
Just below.
I'm not sure if our paths ever crossed at that time, but they did in the church directory.
Well, and they certainly have since. Miriam Toews, of course, the celebrated author who is from Steinbach, Manitoba. You say that she's the most famous person to come from Steinbach.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
And you took on a very interesting and important, I think, project, which was to put a plaque in front of her childhood home. Can you tell me a little bit about what you did and why?
Yeah, that was last year. I felt that there hadn't been really any attention given to Miriam Toews here in Steinbach. She's received awards all around the world, but here in Steinbach, there hadn't really been anything. I always joke that if she had been a NHL hockey star, there would have been a sign on the edge of town saying, "Welcome to Steinbach, home of Miriam Toews." That didn't exist, so I figured, let's put a plaque there.
And you did. And you fundraised, and now it's there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I'm wondering what that says. I mean, of course, you're familiar with, people watching will be familiar with her many novels, but the one in particular, Women Talking, is the one that caused some controversy. She's written about dark and painful chapters as a resident of this community and in the Mennonite community. And it was a fractious relationship with this community. What is the status of it now, both ways, her relationship and the relationship with her?
Well, I definitely think there are people here that don't like her books, but I think sometimes I hear criticisms of her and I say, "Have you read them?" And they say, "Oh no, I haven't actually read them." So I think I would just encourage anyone who feels that way to read her books. I think for the most part now, people are proud that, that she's from our town, this amazing author from our town.
So has that been a change? Does that reflect an evolution, perhaps an openness in the community, if there is now pride?
I think so, yeah. I definitely think people have changed their attitudes towards her. Not everyone, but a lot of people have.
And I'm wondering, for example, could I go down the street to the bookshop? Could I buy her books in the bookshop? Could you teach her material in her high school? In your high school?
For sure, and I have taught it, and you could definitely buy her books anywhere books are sold here, I assume.
That's been a change too, I think. So I raise that because, again, someone with whom Canadians are familiar with, but what do you think that reflects in terms of broader change? What has been the greatest cultural shift that you have observed in Steinbach over the recent years?
Wow, it's definitely Steinbach has grown. If you look at how Miriam Toews describes it, she's really describing Steinbach of 40, 45 years ago. And I'm not to say that element doesn't still exist here, but it's grown, it's more diverse. It's not the cultural or religious monolith that she describes in her books 45 years ago, but so I definitely think it's changed a lot, yeah.
And you can read all about it, because Andrew, you write frequently in publications across the country, and don't forget that Unger review. Humor is important, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. If we can laugh at ourselves.
Absolutely. What a pleasure to have you on our show. Thank you for giving me
you.
the time. Andrew Unger, again, the Unger Review. You can find it, all of the Mennonite satire. And we're going to have more straight ahead, special Manitoba today. And as I was mentioning through the morning, this is the third largest city in the province. Population increase being driven largely by newcomers, notably from the Philippines, from India and Nigeria. But earlier this morning, I was speaking with a guest who is adding to the vibrant immigrant community. He came from Jamaica, and he is really contributing to the community in terms of the rhythms and the diversity. Neville Hamilton came from near Ocho Rios over 15 years ago. His family members, he has 6 children, they and his wife and him, part of a reggae band. And there you see them jamming on the screen. They have worked to build spaces for youth, for culture, for community, including a reggae festival and Steinbach's first ever Caribbean restaurant. He shares with us how the city has evolved during his time here.
When we have our summer festival here, summer in the city, we have the streets blocked off with vendors, with food and all of that stuff. Sometimes we're the main guests there too as well, so people come around and enjoy the music. And yes, they try to dance, so you know it's changing.
15 years you've been here now. How would you describe the change you've seen in Steinbach?
It's great, and I think that the diversity is happening all over, and it's the best way to go. And like, you know, being able to express your culture is key, and having people actually liking what you do and, you know, growing with you as well. And then you get awesome things happening like foods, you know. I mean, once you start, you know, interacting those flavors together, and then you get all those good spices and stuff out there.
Sounds pretty good, Neville. I wish you best of luck with all of the things and the impact that you're having, and may you get that festival here in this fantastic community center one day. We're going to take a quick break. Would you help me throw to a break? Ready to do this? Okay. You're watching CBC Morning Live in Steinbach, Manitoba. Your turn. Right to the camera.
You're watching CBC Live in Steinbach, Manitoba.